And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, we have a very special guest. He's somebody that you've probably heard his name many times in the past. You may or may not have seen his actual face yet, but this is Cam. He is Z&G's currently only employee, but he has an absolutely awesome backstory. He's graded some wild cards. He's very in tune with what the current market is doing, especially because of the job he's currently doing. But with all that said, Cam, I just want to first off say thank you very much for doing me the most gracious of favors and joining me on this channel. But for
Thank you.
anybody out there who may not know you, may not know your backstory, feel free to introduce yourself to everybody.
Not a problem. I am Cam. I work with Z&G, James. Z&G Emporium. I have been heavily into Pokemon right when everyone else got back into it, right in March of 2020. And I dove head first, I put any extra money that I had into it. And I just really tried to focus on growing connections. And I guess it worked because here I am doing Pokemon full time, which is kind of crazy, but yeah.
So how did you get like introduced to Z&G? Did you reach out to him or did you guys start to, grow a bond before that?
So I got back into Pokemon because like with everyone's story, like they were into it when they were a kid and then they came out of it and then they came back into it. Every single story, no one has a unique story, it seems, but right before the pandemic started, just a couple, maybe 3 weeks before, I just tried, like, I can't remember what exactly it was, but they were like these Pokemon vending machines that were placed all around the Pacific Northwest.
I've heard
Because
about
it's,
those.
yeah. And I worked at a grocery store and we had one of those in our lobby. And I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. And then I thought back to a comment because I never really left from like 2013 on. Like I was always like paying attention a little bit, like always watching Leonhardt and like the biggest channels.
Sure.
And I was always checking like the subreddits to see like what people were like polling. And it was weird. I don't know why. I was so interested, but not interested enough to get back into it.
Yeah.
But I remember a comment where someone was like, dang, I really wish like these scalpers would stop buying up these Hidden Fates ETBs because now they're worth, $80 instead of 50.
Dude,
And I was like, yeah, what's up?
I was gonna ask you because I saw a lot of those like photos of those vending machines, and it always seemed to be the only place you could get Hidden Fates tins. That's kind of
They
funny.
were, to my knowledge, they were like the only place that like a retail store would get Hidden Fates ETBs.
Oh
Like,
well.
um, like GameStop wasn't ever gonna get more, like Walmart was like you were never gonna find them on a Walmart shelf. But since these were like directly through Pokemon themselves, because it was like a test thing, like a test market, like are these vending machines a good idea? So they were on the Pacific Northwest, so they're not like trying to supply over to like New York, right? Like it's just very contained on the
Yep.
coast. Kind of like the beginnings of Wizards of the Coast, right? Like with
Yeah,
Alpha
yeah.
Magic. But um, yeah, and I was like, I wonder if this has those Hidden Fates ETBs. Like I don't even know what they look like, right? So I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. So I like Googled it and I saw and I was like, huh, if I buy 3 of these, I could make like so much money without like realizing like shipping costs, fees, all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought 3 of them. I made $20 in profit. And I was like, oh my God, $20? Are you kidding me? Like, you have to spend 150 to get your $20 profit. But like I felt like I was on top of the world.
Oh wow.
And then I basically took like my $170, which only 20 of it was free money. And I went to a card shop and I bought a base set Charizard and a Shadowless Blastoise. And I
Oh.
drove 2 hours to visit my cousin who was into Pokemon when we were kids. And I was like, look at these. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I own these. Like, I was on top of the world. And then I was just like so interested in the idea of like flipping and like making money from this thing because I made my $20 and I thought I was king. So like
what was the condition of that Charizard and Shadowless Blastoise?
Shadowless Blastoise was really bad. I could find a picture of it. It was like, I mean, I got it for $50, 50 or 70, but it was like moderate play.
And you had already
Um,
knew the difference if you just got back in between unlimited and shadowless.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
already knew that it was like different. I already knew that it was like more valuable. Um, but yeah. And so like I basically went home and I was like, who else is doing this? You know, like I'm obviously not the first person to think of this. Like who else is doing it?
Yeah.
And I was typing in like Pokemon flipping, Pokemon investing, Pokemon money, how to make money with Pokemon, like all of this stuff because like to be honest, I was bummed. Like no one was making videos about it. It was like James and old school Pokemon and like TCA. But TCA wasn't even really talking a lot about how to like make money from it. He just was making money from it, you know,
Yeah.
like it was like
The knowledge is there.
Nick
You just
and
have to
James.
watch a lot of videos. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Nick and James were talking about like how to actually flip and stuff. Um, and so just like right from there, like I was messaging both of them. Like basically anytime I'd buy something, which it's like so cringe thinking about now. But I would just like every time I'd be like, hey, is this a good buy? Hey, was this a good buy? Hey, should I grade this? Hey, should I do this?
Yeah.
And they're just like, you know, so kind. Both of them are like, you know, that's a good buy or what. Like they don't have to respond to me. Like, who am I?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean,
So you just dove head deep or head first, like into the deep end, pretty much. It sounds like.
yeah, I mean, I was working full time at a grocery store and quite literally any extra money that I had was going into it. Like no thought of like savings, no thought of anything because um I I've tried doing stuff like this before, right? With crypto, with Pokemon twice before, once in 2013, once in 2016. I tried doing this like flipping thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just like had like no guidance, no anything, like no information was like really available for me. And I saw prices in 2020, even before the spike. I was like, these are so much higher than they were in 2013, 2016. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can't do this a third time and not like really heavily commit to this, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I mean it is pretty wild, but so I mean, from your Instagram and from what I've heard so far, like just you talking to James from Z&G, it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you've been really successful, definitely when it comes to grading cards. So how are you able to recognize, okay, if I really want to go the single route, if I want to go with the raw card route, like what was the aha moment where you're like, all right, the only way I'm going to really truly maximize my money is A, condition, and B, grade these cards. So
Yeah. Um, yeah. So to bring it back, like I said, I got back into Pokemon in 2013, fell out of it, got back into it 2016, fell out of it. And even back in 2013, I remember going to that cousin that I mentioned, and I was like, hey, Ryan, I have this brilliant idea. What if, like, instead of going to these card shops and buying legendary treasures boxes and ripping them open and having fun, right? Like, what if we just go buy the singles and get them graded with PSA? And he was like, no, 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 that's dumb because, like, there's no opportunity for that. Like, how would that make any sense? Like, if you make more money grading it, why doesn't the card shop do it? And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm stupid. Duh, my bad. But like, obviously now, like, I understand why that doesn't
yeah,
happen as often,
yep,
especially in 2013, right? Like,
sure. Oh yeah, definitely
um,
2013.
so like, I always knew of grading being a thing, even back in 2013. Um, but like, I think the biggest thing was honestly just the people that I watched, right? Like, old school Pokemon, like, I realized what he was doing was just very fit for him. It was
Yeah,
not for me. Like
yeah,
having tens of thousands of cards, not for me. Like when I was seeing James selling packs, I was like, that's a lot closer to what I could do. Like I
yep,
can't deal with 1,000 orders, which
yeah,
is
it,
ironic because now I am, with Z&G Emporium. But um, yeah, I mean, it was just pretty simple, right? Like you just go to eBay and you see like, okay, this basic Charizard is worth $100. Grading fees, if you want it express, was $50. If I think that this will get a 7, it's now $350. Like the money, yeah, I mean, it was just pretty simple math, and like
yeah,
a lot less eyes were on it, even
yeah.
beginning of March 2020.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it was even the cards that were, so you got to keep in mind, and not to you, but for everybody out there watching, if you didn't get a 10, a lot of times you either lost money or more or less broke even, or maybe whatever money you would make would be so low that it wouldn't really be worth it to
Yeah.
actually sell that card. So you're like, yeah, I can make $5 or $10, but I'll just put it in my collection. After March 2020 started ticking through, and the rest of 2020, especially like by the time we got to like November 2020, all
Yeah.
those nines that you sat on and were never worth to sell,
Yeah.
they were all worth it. And it didn't really
Yeah.
matter what you had. Even you could have realistically graded every single card you have and got
Yeah.
threes and sold them for a profit. It was, but that's when we talk about like understanding the market, understanding what is in fact overvalued, what is undervalued, and like
Yeah. I mean,
if you think unlimited common from base set and a PSA 8 or 7 is a good buy, like that's not what we're talking about.
yeah, more power to you. I mean,
Yeah.
just for reference, right? Like my very first PSA, I had one PSA submission. I sent it out as bulk, and then I got two more basic Charizards, because in my head, it's like, if it doesn't look beat up and it's $100, I'll buy it, right? Like, and then I'll get it graded, and then if it gets like a 6, like if I'm missing a dent, then I think I'm breaking even. Anything more than that, like I'm making money. Like it kind of felt like I was just printing money, honestly. Like unless like the card is like really damaged, but that never happened. But I got a PSA 7 base at Charizard. I sold it for $350. Within, I think, a month, I was like, man, I really want that card back. That was the first Charizard that ever got graded. Like that's sentimental to me, like if I'm doing this business, like I want the first card ever got graded. Like it's, and I messaged the guy and I was like, hey, how much you want for it? He's like, $13.50.
What?
And I was like, $13.50? And I was like, dude, you're crazy. And then I looked it up on eBay and I was like, oh, that would be like a deal. Like, like what is going on? Like what happened to these prices? Like I've only been here for like 2 months. Like, yeah.
And now at this point, did you already have like PSA submissions that were already out and you're just at this kind of playing the wait game, which so many of us were waiting in 2020? Yeah.
Yeah. My very first bulk submission was, I have a picture of it somewhere. It was like 6 base set Charizards, some like first edition holos, and then all 4 of the Mario and Pikachu cards, the Mario, Luigi, like the half arts and then the full arts.
Yeah, then you definitely graded those at literally like the best possible time.
Oh yeah. I bought them from eBay because I talked to James about this too. Like I spent dozens and dozens of hours just before I bought like anything besides Charizards, just refreshing. I would search Pokemon and then sort by newest and then just refresh for hours. Yeah, just waiting for anything to come up.
Same.
And then
there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah. And like eventually someone listed the 2 sealed packs of the Mario and then the Luigi. And he was asking like maybe like $60 under market. Like I think that he was asking like $450 and they were supposed to be like $500, or he was asking like $400 or something. And I sent him a $300 offer and he countered I sent him like a $250 offer, like way lowballing.
Yeah.
And then he sent me an offer of $300. And I was like, okay, this is a lot of money. $300 is so much money. Like, because I just like didn't have any money, like I'm working at a grocery store making like barely minimum wage.
Sure.
And like, I have bills to pay and adult stuff to do. And I was like, this just feels like good. Like if I get them, I can just sell them. I'll make $50. Like that's free money. That's a half day of work, a little bit more for doing almost nothing. And then I got them and I was like, what if I grade these? Like I'm grading all these Charizards. Like why not grade these? And then I started getting bothered because PSA was taking so long. And then I checked the prices of the Mario and the Pikachu and I was like, no, it's fine. They can take their time. They're good.
When you got them back, were they were all 410s, I'm guessing?
They were all 10s. It was sequential 10s.
Oh, wow.
And that was my first like big item that I ever had.
So by the time those things roll back to you, like you said, you bought all 4 of them for, $300-400, whatever. You see, it's crazy because $300-400 today, that's just semantics to you. But back then, $100 difference is make or break the bank, which is crazy.
See, that's the thing is right now, I could tell you exactly that it ended up being $300 and then grading was $15 per card. So it was no, it's $320, $10 per card. So it's $360 total all in to get the cards graded.
Okay.
Like, but I couldn't tell you how much money I spent on any card on the shelf, but
Yeah.
like back then, like the money was so like specific. Yeah.
It's wild when you look back, and for you, you're not even kind of looking back that fast, but it's just how sometimes life comes at you fast. And I
Yeah.
think like those Mario Pikachus is a great example of him and Han over $360. And by the time those things came back to you, all four of them tens, you
Yeah.
must have looked at the market at that point and been like, jackpot, right?
Yeah. I mean, like that's exactly it. Is I was kind of like lying to myself. I was like, if I keep these, like these are a good investment, it's like a nice crossover, all this stuff. But then I'm like really thinking to myself, and I was like, man, that's a lot of money. Like that's so much money. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I kept them for like a week. I made a sales post on Reddit saying like if anyone wants these, but like I felt bad, like, which it doesn't make sense. But like at the time, like I didn't have very much money, and I kind of just assumed that like everyone else is in the same place. It's like peak pandemic and all this stuff, and I was like, how can I justify asking people to spend $2,000 on Pokemon cards? Like, what is this? Like, are you kidding me? So I made a sales post, and like there wasn't like a ton of sales data for like a sequential set. Like everyone was selling their cards like individually. And I was like, I feel dumb asking for a premium to like sell the set all at once, or to sell them because like the numbers add up, or like the numbers are in a sequence, and so like one guy messaged me, and I was like just feeling like bad, honestly, that I wanted to sell cards for so much money. And it's like, I don't know why I felt that way, but because all my other cards are like $50 for like PSA cards,
Sure.
$100. If it was a big card like a PSA 8 Charizard, it's like $500 or whatever. But like to ask someone to give me like 4 figures worth of money, I was like, man, I don't know. So I took down my post, but then one guy messaged me and he's like, hey man, like I really want these. And I was like, do you really want them for like this amount of money? Like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, like no problem. Like it's cool. And like, he was a really nice guy. He works in Seattle. He like worked at Amazon, It's like as soon as he was like, yeah, like, I work at Amazon and like I do this, I was like, oh, we're in different tax brackets, like we're good. Like you can have these cards. Like I don't feel bad about it. Like,
yeah.
And then like we became acquaintances, and I drove from Portland to Seattle to like hand deliver them, because I was like, there's no way I'm letting $2,000 get lost in the mail, Like
Wow.
I'm not letting that happen. But yeah,
That's
that
pretty
was the
wild.
first big sale where I was like, I think I can do this, Like,
So no, that's awesome. And so then it sounds like you just kept going more and more down that graded rabbit hole, and
yeah,
like that. This is there's a lot to talk about when it comes to grading and stuff. And like another card you graded, and G talks about all the time, which
yeah,
is you literally graded an unlimited energy card,
yeah,
which I have a million theme decks downstairs. Each one of those theme decks have a million of those energies in it. But you graded it. You got a PSA 10, and it sold for how much?
$52.99.
So it's, and like that's the conversation I always try to like have with people, is they'll talk about like how certain things, will make 4, 5, 6 times in, gains in for
Yeah.
like some sealed product and stuff. And then I try to, and it always kind of falls on deaf ears when I try to explain to somebody, no, I know a guy who took a 10-cent card,
Yeah.
turned that 10 cents, spent $10 to have it graded. He is now into this card for $10.10, and he turned it into $52. Like,
Yeah.
please tell me what the percentage return on that is. But they won't look at that. They'll only look at the price of the 10 as if you were the person buying the graded card. And
Yeah.
that always falls on deaf ears a little bit, where it's like, how do I explain to you when you take something that is worth nothing and turn it into $50, what is the percentage gains?
Yeah.
But they won't. They'll be like, nah, what about the guy who bought the 10 and stuff? And it's like,
Which
we're
like,
not,
hey,
we're having
I'm not
different
the
conversations.
buyer on that end, but I will say like,
Yeah.
right now, like my long-term goal, I think, is a complete PSA 10 set of Japanese base. I think that'd be really interesting.
Sure.
And if I'm submitting, like I still don't know because like I don't have bulk prices yet. But if I submit, two or three of each energy card to get graded, and I only get nines back, like, yeah, I'm absolutely going to spend $50 on a PSA 10 Japanese base set grass energy. If it's like the thing that's keeping me away from completing my set. It's like I don't know that guy's situation. I don't know why he's spending $50 on an energy card, but
I'll never know the buyer's end of some of these cards. Like,
yeah,
those aren't cards I look at, like,
yeah,
and that's about understanding the market, like what is out there versus what's not out there, stuff like that.
yeah.
But so with that said, so now you're kind of all in. If you're grading energy cards, get intense on them for $50.
Yeah,
You have one of my literally favorite stories in this entire hobby. The
I'm
fact
glad.
that you graded a Bob Saget card. And how much money did you sell that thing for?
So I stumbled upon this box. It is the 1991 Impel Laughs. It has cards from a TV show I've never heard of called Perfect Strangers, but also Family Matters and Full House. So in this, you have cards like John Stamos, Bob Saget, Lori Loughlin, like every person that was in Full House. And I bought these boxes, not these ones here, but I bought, I think, two or three of them before Bob Saget died because I was just such a big fan of Full House that like, and I think that that's a lot of it is like, I don't know the saying, but like luck is when like preparation meets whatever,
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, it's like preparation or desire meets preparation, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Because like I was prepared, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I was prepared for Bob Saget to die. Like I literally cried in my car, like honestly, the first celebrity death that ever messed with me. But so like I already had the cards and I was like, eventually I was gonna get them graded because like I just wanted a complete set, honestly, of just like John Stamos, Bob Saget, Lori Loughlin, like all the actual, actors for some reason. And I was like,
How much are these booster boxes though? They got to be what cost of shipping pretty much, right? Like
yeah.
some
So
of that stuff.
at the time, like they were like $8 and then like $11 to ship it.
Yeah. They're always
Like
more for shipping. I always tell people when you get far enough down the weeds, like
yeah,
there's never free shipping on that stuff because
yeah.
yeah.
And that's why I think I bought two of them the first time. It's like if it's going to be $11 to ship it, I may as well just get another one. Um, but I mean, now these ones have price tags of $40 on them, so the death, quintupled the price of the box. But so I sent one Bob Saget in just because it's like, now he's dead, he'll never be able to sign it, so I may as well just get it graded. And I got it back, got a 10. I was stoked because it's like nice. Now my personal collection card. It'll never be autographed, which is a bummer, but it's cool to have. And I was listing all my other PSA cards because I just had a bulk return come back. And I was in my kitchen with my little photo set up. And I was like, since I already have like all my stuff set up, like the lighting and I have my background set up, like I may as well just take a picture of the Bob Saget and I'll, do the kind of scummy thing and I'll list it real high. Like, James has his box up on eBay for $250,000. S. M. Pratt has all of his trophy cards up for $2 million or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I have a Skyrim right there that I have listed for 10K or something, 6K.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah,
has his boxes up for 6 million or whatever.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just list it just so that people know. Like, honestly, I didn't want to sell it, which sounds dumb because like I put it on eBay, but it was a Pop 2 at the time. The only other one had already sold on eBay. As soon as he died, someone just bought it for the full price that it was listed at.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just kind of want to put it up so that people know where the other one is, So like, not that like anyone cares. It's not like some historic piece or something, but just so that like people are aware that it exists. And I'm going to put it up. And I think I put it up for $1,000. And I was listing cards at night. I fell asleep, woke up, and I had an offer of $800. And I was like, what do I do? Because the box is $8. The box was $8, and I got two or three from that box. you know, plus shipping or whatever. But like, you know, I'm into the card for like, I think I got it, you know, economy graded or whatever for $50. So I'm in the card like $60, and I'm getting this offer for $800, and it's like, it sounds dumb, but like I think I went to James, I think I went to my girlfriend, and I was just like, I think I posted it on Discord. I was like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to sell this, but like, it's $800. Like,
well, how many?
I'm 12 timesing my money or something, 13 timesing.
Yeah.
And so I ended up selling it, and I messaged the guy because I even have a picture on I think it's my profile picture on Facebook, and I think I posted it on Instagram. It might be my picture on Instagram too. I went to San Francisco on the drive down here during the move, and you know, it's like a 4 or 5 hour like detour that we took so that I could hold my Bob Saget card in front of the Painted Ladies in San Francisco, where they did the intro for Full House, and it's like the most iconic thing in San Francisco besides the Golden Gate Bridge. And like, because like I was just so stoked to have the card, you know, and like I'm all happy having it with my PSA 10 in front of the Painted Ladies, and then the card is gone, you know, like a week later. And so I messaged the guy and I was like, hey, you know, why'd you buy this? like just kind of trying to, not that it matters, but people say like, oh, this is going to a good home, or everyone always says that, like, oh, I'm glad my card's going to a good home. But I was like, I really want this to go to a good home. Like, I don't know. And I chatted with him, and he was talking about how like the night that I listed the card, he was talking with his nieces, and they're talking about Full House and how much they all like loved Full House, like as a family. And then they knew that like the uncle was into trading cards. I was like, is there a Bob Saget trading card? So he looked on eBay, and mine was just listed. Like it said like the new listing next to it. And he's like, you know, whatever, I'll buy it. So, wow. You know, again, different tax bracket. Yeah. He was like a financial advisor in New York City or something, like not, you know, the $800 to him is not the $800 to me or you, but
yeah, definitely. So real quick, shout out to Doodles in the Membrane, just sent a super chat. He said, what are your guys' opinions on character rares bringing more life to Pokemon like Parasect, Hoot, etc., that aren't as loved? So like the Hoot artwork, first of all, is awesome. You know, like he's talking about the new full, I don't know if you've seen the new full art one. Yeah. It's like the guys are the meditating, you got the Hoot out there. Now, I'm all for those. Like anytime you get people looking at cards that or Pokemon that normally they won it in the past, and then maybe they'll want to go back and say like, oh, when was the first Hoot? Or like the Parasect. It's like, oh, well, when did the first Parasect card come out? Oh, it came out in Jungle. Like maybe I want to start collecting Parasects or start collecting Hoots because I like this card, or, you know, like, especially for newer generations being exposed to some of these cards, definitely lesser known Pokemon. And then potentially like maybe that Hoot, some little kid out there is going to look at that or the Parasect, and that's going to become their favorite Pokemon. Like character rare cards for me, first of all, is kind of like, I will never be able to give an unbiased answer to that because I like character rare cards so much. Like I fell in love with them with Cosmic Eclipse. Brilliant Stars hit it out of the park. Astral Radiance was kind of a flop for him, but I think they are a very good way to go. What's your thoughts on character rares?
I think they're like a home run, honestly. I think it's like I think are my favorite type of card right now, because I'm trying to think of like what's going on with like alt arts and full art Vs or any of this stuff. Like character rares are just so good, so good. Yeah. Like look, I just looked at the Hoot card because I've seen it, but I wanted to like have a reference. Like,
sure,
who cares about Hoot? You know, like very few people are like, oh, Hoot, that's my guy, that's my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah,
but it's like as soon as I look at it, it's just like immediate nostalgic dopamine. It just like reminds me of being in like the Bellsprout Tower, getting up to the top level where the, you know, the guy at the top has like a Hoot. Like they're so good. They're so good.
Yeah. And I like character rares that kind of tell a story, or maybe they don't tell a story, but you could kind of like make up a story to a card. Like my favorite character rare, and it will probably take a really, really lot to pass it someday, will be the Red's Pikachu from Cosmic Eclipse with like Pikachu sitting there and then Red standing looking at him. Like, because I grew up playing, Red and Blue. So
Yep.
to know Red, to know Pikachu, to know like season one, season two. But then even in that, like, I always say I wish the Lieutenant Surge didn't have the Magnemite. I wish it had the Raichu, because I think of Lieutenant Surge from the TV show,
Yeah.
Raichu being his Pokemon. But then, like, there's the Dawn and Piplup card in that too.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if people out there actually watch the anime, but season
Mhm.
10 of Pokemon, season 10 was Diamond and Pearl. And that's when they go through like Dawn's backstory and her
Mhm.
Piplup. And her Piplup just, her Piplup is very similar to like Ash's Squirtle in the sense that he's kind of a badass. Like, Piplup keeps getting beat up.
Mhm.
And like, but he's like always willing to like go into the fight and just always thinks he could win. And then Dawn, the first time she ever loses with Piplup, like, was the end of the world for her, and she like almost didn't want to be a Pokemon trainer anymore. But like, like character building and stuff like that in season 10. But when I look at that card, I'm like, oh, okay, it already tells a story to me because
Yeah.
of the anime.
Yeah.
So that's how my brain works, and that's why I really love cards that I could form bonds to, even if
Yeah.
they don't actually exist on the surface when you dive into the cards.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that it took so long to get character rares.
Mm,
Like now that I think about it, because I mean, like my favorite cards, right? Like Red's Pikachu. It's red with Pikachu.
yeah.
Cosmic Eclipse Pikachu. Um, any of the character rares now, I just love them. But like, think back to like generations with the Charizard and the
Hmm.
Charmander and the Charizard line where he's like
Yep.
growing up or whatever.
Yeah.
Or God, what is it? Grumpig, right? Like that generation line. I
Hmm.
don't think it
No,
was
I
Grumpig.
yeah.
Um, but it's they're just so good. Like people would be like, oh yeah, like I love this story of like the kid is with the first evolution and then he grows up and now he's an adult with his family with the final evolution. Like people connect to that so quickly.
Hmm.
And then they just didn't really do anything with it for 3 years until Cosmic Eclipse. And then now we have character rares. And so
Yeah.
we've done it.
Yeah. And now the question is, well, can we not have characters anymore? And this is a crazy thing. Like, and we've talked about it now on this channel on so many different videos. It's always like, where can Pokemon go from here? Where can they go from here? Like, for me, Astro Radiance is kind of like a lackluster set.
Mhm.
But it's funny because I talk about in relative to the current sets that are released. But you put Astro Radiance against so many sets in the past. Astro Radiance is an absolute banger set. But
Yeah.
you got Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike, and then Brilliant Stars, and then
Yeah.
Astro Radiance, and then Pokemon Go, and like the Peel cards. And I will give Pokemon this. They're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying. I think people think they're not trying, but I think they are. I think as the demand picks up for
Yeah.
these cards and there's more money being spent, I think from a more logistic aspect of like, you know, designing new cards or building infrastructure, like those peel cards, while it
Yeah.
probably doesn't take much to do,
Yeah.
it's at least them willing to spend the money or trying something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, man. Modern is so much fun.
It is.
I really have to tell myself that it sucks and that vintage is where it's at because I don't want to spend $500 on a vintage pack, so I just won't buy it. But if I let myself realize that modern is a lot of fun, then I'll just keep buying ETBs and I'll keep buying booster boxes all day. So, like, I went to Target today, right before the stream, and I couldn't look at the Pokemon section. I was like, I know I'm just gonna come home with like 2 ETBs and a collection box of some sort. Like, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's funny. I always make the joke like some people say people don't like, modern and all this, but I'm always like, that's not true. I'm like, I
yeah,
literally cannot find one person who's like, I hate modern. Modern
dude.
sucks. Like, everyone likes modern, and like there's like false narratives going out where people say they don't, but no
I
one
don't
says
think I could find you more of a Wizards of the Coast elitist than James, right?
that.
Because he even told me, he's like, I don't think I've ever submitted a single card that wasn't Wizards of the Coast to PSA. He's like, except like when Burning Shadows came out, he bought like 12 of the Rainbow Charizards, and they all got
Okay.
10s. The
He did,
dude,
so James doesn't even go past Skyridge, so not even like any
like,
E-Leader cards, gold stars, level X's, nothing.
God, I mean, maybe into like gold stars now
Okay,
that I
so he
think
did
about
go a
it.
little bit into Auto
But like,
Wizard.
basically, he's never submitted besides the Rainbow Charizards anything that people wouldn't consider to be vintage, is what I'll say.
Sure, gotcha.
But then, like, I came from Target right before work, and I had a Shining Fates ETB, I think, and I just, I opened it next to him, and I'm like, "You want some packs?" He's like, "Yeah." Like, all right, I'll open it. And then we like open it, and like, it's obviously fun. Like, it's obviously a fun product to open. And then he's like, "Ah, shit, okay." And he grabs like a Hidden Fates tin, and he's like, "Okay, now we'll open this." And I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
man, we're going down a hole. We're wasting money."
So on my live I had when Z and G's joined, we were able to get Lauren to open up one of those tins on the stream. It was actually a lot of
Nice.
fun. And I always make the joke about Hidden Fates is the only product that everyone owns one sealed product from Hidden Fates. Dude, it is like harder to find somebody who doesn't own sealed
Yeah,
Hidden Fates than to find somebody who's like, yeah, I don't have any. It's like, no, everyone owns some. It's
dude.
like you either own a Gyarados, Raichu, Charizard tin, or you own the ETB, or maybe you got lucky and you were able to pick up like the premium collection box with the Rayquaza and stuff. But
Yeah,
everyone's like, or I find some people is like, and then I said that, and James laughed because James remembered me saying that. And he goes, I
yeah,
don't own any modern. And he pulls out an entire case of those
yeah,
tins. He goes, except for this Hidden Face
yeah.
case of
I
tins.
don't
He's
know where
like,
that came
how
from.
did you know this?
One day I came into the office, and he just has a case of tins. I was like, "Where did this come from?" Like, I've
Yeah.
never even asked. Um, yeah, no, those ETBs are my bread and butter. Like, that's how I started. Like, that's where I got any of my money to flip, was just going to those vending machines and buying ETBs for 50 and then selling them. Half the time it was local, half the time it was just on eBay. I would always do lots of two so that the shipping made sense, because like, you're selling these ETBs for like $80 on
Mhm.
eBay. Like, after
Yeah.
shipping, you're making pennies. Like, you're not
Mhm.
making any money, which is kind of why it would feel bad. People would be like, you know, the classic scalper ruining the hobby, this and that. And it's just like, I don't want to be ruining the hobby. And like, people are pointing out these sellers on eBay that have an ETB listed for $75. And it's like, they are making nothing. Like, they are breaking even, like, after shipping and fees. Um, but I would do lots of two, and I'd make like $15, and then I would just buy more ETBs, and I would just, if it was like a good day, I'd come home with 10 ETBs, and I'd be like, I remember the first time that happened, the first time I ever got more than like 3 Elite Trainer boxes, my passenger seat had like 10 or 12, and I was looking at it, and I was just like, I wish I didn't do this. Like, I wish I could go back to these vending machines, put them back, and get my $50 back. Like,
Yeah.
this is a lot of money tied up. This was, $600.
Mhm.
And it's like, at the time, like, that's my rent, $600 is like what I need to make rent. And it just made me really anxious, like, driving home, just like every 13 seconds, I'd like look over and just stare at it like, oh man, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah, I
it's
got home, and I was like, I have them. Like, I have to sell them now. I have to dive head first.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny when I hear that because when I got back into the hobby, I guess relatively early, but
Yeah.
when I was doing collection buys and stuff, like I wasn't spending a crazy amount of money. Like I remember buying like full binder collections for like 29.99 or twenty
Yeah.
dollars or nineteen
Yeah.
dollars. And sure. Now when you fast forward to 2021, 2020, we're in 2022 now, like they're all a lot of money. But I wasn't out there spending like $600. Like the thought of when I got back into the hobby to spend $600 on sealed product just would be such a foreign thought to me that wouldn't
Yeah.
even make sense.
I mean, because I remember I've had this thought in 2013, 2016, 2020, like all the times that I re-entered the hobby. I'd always just be like, man, like, $50 for a card, that's unreal, and then
Unreal, yeah.
2016, $100 for a card, that's crazy. Who can even afford that? 2020, I'm like looking at base set boxes for $3,000. I'm like, who could afford that? $3,000 on Pokemon? And then now it's just like, you become desensitized after a
Yeah.
while, to be honest.
One time I bought a binder collection for the binder, meaning the cards to me were worthless. And I'm sure that I don't really know. I don't know if I how far back you could go on eBay to look at sales and stuff, but I'm sure there was like some, light played hollows and stuff in there from Watsy. But
Yeah.
I wanted the binder because for me the binder was worth the price and the cards are worth nothing. So going back far enough, it gets a little ridiculous. But I've seen a couple people ask in the chat. So now can we talk a little bit about how did you get like where James obviously Gem Mint was popping off,
Granted,
after
Jim.
a little while. Or sorry, yeah, excuse me.
How dare you?
Yeah,
Don't you
how
do any
dare
research?
I? So it started popping off, and he was looking for some help. So can you walk us through like how did you end up working for Z&G and everything like that?
Yeah, so let me think. So I would be like, I would watch all of his videos. I would like comment on all of them because if a video from him or Rusty or SM Pratt ever came up or old school Pokemon, I would always watch it. I would always comment. So I think that just like enough of that and like he'll notice you, like anyone at his size, if you're just always there, if you're always present, if you're always in live streams, you'll get noticed.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of people I notice all the time just commenting and live
Yeah.
chats, stuff like that.
And so I'm trying to think. So I would always be there. Like I would message him on Instagram. Like if I ever saw like a local deal, or if I ever saw someone on Facebook posting like a booster box that they had for sale, I would always forward it to him every single time. Like if the price looked reasonable, like if I knew that he could make his margins. And then he made his Discord for like members only, and I was a member. And then we would just like chat on there sometimes. And then eventually, like I think the timing was just kind of perfect. Like it was peak graded gem returns coming back. And it was peak me just being so burnt out at my job because like, it's like a traditional retail job. I just like worked at a grocery store and like I've done that for years. And it was just I just was so tired of it. And the timing just worked out. And I think that his daughter got sick, which is not good. And he was like already like doing like working so much, and then now he has like to take care of his daughter. And I remember I was at work, and he just messaged me, and he's like, "How soon could you come to Arizona?" And I was like, "Huh?" He's like, how soon from right now could you be in Arizona? And I was like, I mean, if you like are sincere right now, and like if you like really want someone there, I was like, I could leave in the middle of my shift right now, and I could get on a flight. Like he was like,
That's
okay, I
like
don't think it's
that's like Wolf of Wall Street. Like, show
yeah
me you
because
made 60 or 70 grand this month. I will quit my job right now.
because like you know it's kind of hard to explain, like, and I don't know if it's like just a me thing or if like other people would relate, but like during this time when I was just so burnt out, it's like I just wanted anything that was interesting. And even if my interesting thing was flying to Arizona and like sorting some graded gem returns for like 2 days and then flying back and then going back to like my real life, like that sounded so good. Like it's kind of hard to explain just like how much that appealed to me, even if it's just for like a weekend. And he's like, okay, I don't think it needs to be that soon, but I think that like me saying like I could just leave right now, like just be on the next flight, I think
Yeah.
made him realize that like I was in. So like I ended that shift. I think he like messaged me and he was like, all right, like here's your ticket. I think it was for the next day or whatever. So I think I just called out from work the next 2 days.
Wow.
And like, because again, it's hard to explain. Like I'm now losing money from my actual job, but then like he's gonna pay me for like 2 days. So like, I don't know the math. Am I making money? Am I losing money? Am I breaking even? I don't know. But I also like don't care because like even if it is just like helping out a friend, or like helping out someone that I know from YouTube, or even if it's just for experience, like I'm not going to be bummed about like losing $100 doing it. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, he flew me out. I stayed here for a couple days, slept on his floor in his living room on a blow up mattress. And then I think he offered me the job then. I can't remember. And then I flew home. I continued working. He like officially offered me the job. And again, I think I like tricked myself into like thinking about it, but I think I knew that I wanted to do it because like it would really make me feel awful if he had to like find someone local, if he had to like find someone new, like build trust with someone, find someone that the community could trust with their cards because like, I say like a card is worth $100 or $1,000, like so casually, but like that's so much money and I understand that. Um, but it's like you want to have someone that like your community can trust. But yeah, I mean, the worst thing I could imagine is just me continuing to work overnight, like graveyard shifts at a grocery store, stocking shelves, and then like watching him on YouTube and be like, huh, like his business is growing or like this is growing or, even if it's not growing, like there he is, doing cards for a living.
Yeah.
And here's me 3 o'clock in the morning drinking coffee because I've work for another 6.5 hours. Um, yeah, dude, I don't know, but it was a no-brainer. I think I thought about it a lot longer than I really needed to, but then, yeah, I accepted it, moved down here.
So when you get down there on the first day, and obviously by this point, you've already, graded your own cards, been selling cards, kind of,
Yeah,
you're definitely doing more of the grind and stuff. But the first day you walk in and you just see all those returns and all those cards, is it a little bit of a wow factor? Or I
yeah,
mean,
I
you
mean,
must,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, it's and
I mean,
like,
you must get to see some. I mean, obviously, a lot of it's going to be probably like modern cards, or
yeah,
you must see more hidden fates graded cards, or stuff
I've
like
seen
that.
more
But
PSA 9 Champions Path ETB Charizards than anyone deserves to see in their entire
see in their
life.
lifetime.
Um,
But
yeah,
you must
I
see
mean,
some bangers, though, right? I mean, you gotta have them where they trickle through, and you're just like, where you kind of stop what you're doing that day, and you're just like,
yeah,
hey, come look at this, James.
I mean, no, exactly. Like there have been times where I'm just like sorting through cards and it's just modern, 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 just garbage, just like PSA or like vintage PSA 6 base set 2 commons. And it's like, good luck, hope you like
Yeah,
your return.
Godspeed on this one, buddy.
Hopefully this is like sentimental or hopefully you like this or, hopefully you weren't expecting a 10 and like you got tricked by some YouTuber telling you how to get 10s every time.
Yeah.
And then like there have been times where like I'm sorting the cards and I like literally just drop them on the table. I'm like, oh my God. And it's like a PSA. I think the most recent one was a PSA 10. No, I know for a fact the most recent one, unlimited Slow King PSA 10 in bulk.
What did that make the pop for?
I think Rhyme Styles was 6. I think it's 7 now.
Oh, it's that high. Oh, see, I'm far behind on that. I thought it was only at. I remember when Gem Mint finally got his.
Yeah.
That was a big buy for him.
Yeah, no, I remember just being like, holy, and I was like, James, look at this, James. And I was like, oh my God, like this is
Wow.
crazy. And like, I mean, I've done that with like PSA 10 Evolutions Chansey we've gotten, which like doesn't mean anything to so many people, but it's just like,
It's
this is
such
an
a
impossible
tough,
grid.
yeah, such a tough 10. Even the
Yeah.
Charizard's a tough 10
Yeah.
too.
I mean, the first day I think that I was sorting cards because I remember Graded Gem UK making a video saying we've never graded a PSA 10 Evolutions Charizard, which I'm sure by now has changed. But I remember my first day sorting cards, I saw one and I was like, James, look at this. He's like, I've never seen that. And I was like, that's crazy. Like one of the first stacks of cards I'm going through, and there's just a PSA 10. Like,
Yeah, that's wild.
oh man. But yeah, I mean, I've seen crazy stuff. But yeah, no, that very first day, he was like showing me around and we like went to the office and he's like, all right, here it is. And he like opened the door and I was just like, wow, like you get desensitized to it really quickly, like it just becomes, I don't have like a good frame of reference, but like, I'm sure if you ask like a cashier or something, like they're handling money, like you're
Like a
handling
bank
in a
teller,
day.
yeah.
Yeah. Like you're handling, tens of thousands of dollars that it very quickly doesn't become money anymore. It just becomes like the thing that you're using to do your job. But yeah, I mean, the first like, that first weekend I was there, like anytime I'd walk into the office, I was like, man, this is a lot of stuff. Like, you have these towers of, like this tall of PSA cards just side by side by side by side, and some are taller, some are smaller because it's like different people's returns. And
Yeah,
if someone has 100 cards, we're not putting that in one stack. By the way, we're putting that in like 5 stacks. But
sure.
you just have like the skyline of like picnic tables, basically, like those fold out plastic tables, just like side by side, just cards everywhere, and you're just like your brain like can't compute it. You're like, I know that these are Pokemon cards, but like this is so many, and you're
Yeah.
just like waiting for customers to respond to emails.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty wild too. Yeah, when James was on, he had a shelf behind him, and he's like, "You see the shelf? These are all people that we've been trying to get a hold of, and I don't know if they're even dead." And he's like, "As morbid as that is to sound, like I don't even know if they're dead." And I asked him, I was like, "Can you open one of those returns and just tell me like what are people not paying for?" And there was a couple. There was, one of the cards I remember was like the Snorlax from Sword and Shield base, like pretty cool artwork,
yeah,
but the guy had like a PSA 10,
yeah,
so that card's still worth his grading fees. It's not like they just skimped out on the grading fees because there's still
yeah,
money there. It's maybe not a lot, but it's
yeah.
it's still profitable.
I
So
mean, that's the thing is like, I mean, a couple points there. Like, we had cards that people had already paid for, like didn't have upcharges, that are like great, great cards, like, or that would have like a small upcharge of $40, and they have like a gold star something, or we had a PSA 1 first edition base at Charizard that came through, and like the guy just like wasn't taking it back, and it's like, what more could you want? Or people that submit one card, no upcharge, it gets a PSA 10, they already paid for the grading fee, and it's like, you beat the game, you submitted a card, you got the highest grade you could,
mhm,
why don't you want it back? Like, I'm just
yeah,
confused. um and yeah, I mean, it is like extremely morbid, right? But it's like during peak of COVID, it's like 2020, and how many of these people am I emailing that are literally dead? Like, it feels scary to think about. But
it's got to be a lot. Like how are you sitting on these cards? Like,
yeah,
well, yeah,
because I mean, like, we did get one message from someone who was like, hey, my friend submitted to you guys, he passed away, like we are trying to get his cards back, like does he still have to, like, what fees need to be paid? And I was like, this is heavy, like,
yeah. How do
because
you
it's like
even
a
go
thing that you
about
kind of say
proving
in,
that too? Like, hey,
yeah,
I
it's like
need to
a
see
thing
a
that you
death
say in
certificate.
passing. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to, that's above my pay grade. But it's like, you say it in passing and you say it kind of jokingly, like, God, are these people dead? And then you get
Yeah,
an email from someone and it's like, hey, my friend died, like my best friend died. Like, these are the cards that he submitted, here's his name, here's his email. And it's like, bro, like, it literally like deflates you. Like, you're just
yeah,
like sitting there like quietly, like, this is tough. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's horrible, but I mean,
So, so what's
yeah.
like a normal day for you? Like, are you? I mean, hopefully, I think I saw Laura was in the chat earlier, so you got to be careful what you
Yeah, I'm
say.
sorry that she came into your guys' stream to open that hidden fate. She probably killed the mood.
No way. She's what saved that stream. Nobody wanted to watch me or James. It was all about her. So she was the all star of that live. But
I guess
what's
she's
do you
fine. I guess
are
she's
you
okay.
happy? I gotta ask you, are you happy you made the move? Are you happy you made the decision? Because you ended up, I mean, you're in your apartment now. Like you made
Yeah.
that big step. Like you quit your
Yeah.
job, you moved out there, you regret it, you happy? Because for me, when I look at what James is doing,
Yeah.
he's filling currently a huge void that was left by PWCC.
Yeah.
PWCC, what they were doing on eBay, easy submittals. I submitted a lot of cards through PWCC in my life. Like I would say majority, like higher than 80% of all the cards I've ever sold, graded wise, I've sent through PWCC. But when they left, there is a huge hole in that eBay. And yeah, there's the Probesteins and obviously the TCAs. And I think even like old school Pokemon's doing it now and James is doing it. But that is definitely a growing business, that
Yeah.
eBay consignment business. So I'm just curious, like what your thoughts are about actually doing the move and do you see it as being a future thing or what?
Um, imagine if I came on here and I was like, God, I hate it. God, I regret this big
Well, I
time.
mean, that's why I throw the bait out there, see if you
Gotta get the
like
clicks,
fishing.
Like, yeah, he's just mean to me all day. Um, no, I mean, I'm glad I did it. Like, no question about it. I think the path that we are going on, I think that we are growing. I think that there are like certain like shortcuts, and there are certain things that like if because we have the same eBay rate, like the same fee structure as everybody else that well, not everybody else, because some people get good fee structures. Like PWCC, they do not pay what you and I pay on eBay.
Yeah. The rumor was, which I don't know how true this is. This is all hearsay, but 2%, and it was probably a little higher than that. But that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, I know that I believe. Well, I don't want to say I know. I believe it was SM Pratt that said PWCC was at 3%, which
okay,
makes Probstein being at 2 or 3%, because I didn't realize this. I think Probstein is like the 13th biggest eBay seller on all
really,
of eBay.
I can believe that.
Like I think they're huge because every week they have like 20,000 auctions ending.
Mhm.
Like it's a disgusting amount. And they almost
I
have a
don't know.
million feedback.
I don't
So
know if you bought any sealed product from it's like P Football Pete or whatever
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
eBay. So I've talked to him in person. The guy's name is Scott, but he's gonna eventually be on a live on this channel. But one of the
That'd be
things
cool to see.
yeah, one of the things he talked to me about is the only thing I can't talk about is my agreement with eBay because he has a non-disclosure with eBay.
Yeah.
So like that's another thing. When people talk about selling sealed modern product and like these guys are losing money and all this, it's like careful.
Well,
Careful.
yeah.
When I was there for 15 minutes. There was a US postal truck there, there was a UPS truck there, and a FedEx truck there, and I was only there for 15
Yeah,
minutes in the day, and all
dude.
three of the big three were there.
God, there's so much to talk about. I mean, regarding that, I think James and I talked about it on the last live. We dropped off some graded gem stuff, like maybe like 20, 30 packages, and then our week of consignment, like 300 packages. And it felt like we were killing our post office.
Yeah.
Like you have to have someone swing around the back. You know, I'm grabbing packages, handing them to James. James is taking them, handing them to the post office worker. And it's like not a quick process. And we're grabbing all of our packages from them. It's like, and that's only 300 packages. And granted, we have like a pretty small post office, but if you're doing 10 times that volume or 20 times that volume, I
Daily.
literally do not understand how you could possibly do that. Like,
Yeah.
granted, it wouldn't be like an overnight shift, like if next week I go in and we have 30,000 items to sell, but like that's just not going to happen. But over time, you like, I'm certain that PWCC and like Propstein just have a guy whose job is just to go like back and forth from the post office, like it just, or to like have, completely empty post office trucks come and just take their stuff,
Yeah,
because there's no way that
that's
they're
what
having.
happened with the one I was at. The empty truck just came and they're loading it up
Yeah,
with
and I'm
like
sure that
pallets.
like that driver, that USPS driver, is like, okay, part of my route for the day is going here, loading up, and then just driving directly back to the post office. There's no dropping off packages. It's just back and forth. But yeah. You said what is a typical day?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, because I'm sure so you got to keep in mind that this YouTube community, it's a tight community. Like
Yeah.
everyone seems to know each other
Yeah.
somehow. And I've always been very curious, like, what is a daily day working with James from Z&G? And like, I mean, you just got to be shipping and emailing and, on
It
the return
is.
days, you got to get to the point where you almost regret return days. You're like, oh no, here we
I mean,
go.
yeah, like Monday, like tomorrow when I go in, I know it's not going to be like a very fun day. It's just going to be like packaging orders, and it's like, I mean, it's all stressful because you're, every day I'm dealing with other people's stuff, but it's like, you know, it would be pretty detrimental to us if I like ship something to the wrong person, or if like I can't find a card, or if I like misplace a card, like, and granted, none of this has happened, but it's just like kind of nerve wracking, so I have to be like on my A game. And um yeah, so Mondays are the shipping days. Normally, most stuff, most weeks, everything that's been paid for will get shipped on Monday. So auctions end Sunday afternoon, and I go in Monday, and him and I we just grind through trying to do those shipments. Like normally when I very first get in, the first like 15 minutes or so will be like just checking to see if there's any emails that are like extremely important, that are like urgent. Like they're all important. It's all people saying like, hey, where's my order? Or like, hey, I paid for this order. Or, responding, giving us their address. Like they're all things that we will get to very quickly. But if there's anything that's like, hey, you guys shipped my card back and it's like missing, or, something that's like really important, or like, hey, I accidentally overpaid by $1,500. Can I get a refund? Like those are things
No,
that
you
like
can't.
I'll jump on quick.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the almost all of Monday will be doing return or doing shipments for eBay consignment. And then Tuesdays, if there's anything else to catch up on, usually James will finish that before I get in. And then it just kind of depends. Like, if any, there's always graded gem to fall back on, basically. Like, it's kind of, there's always something graded gem related that can be done, even if
Sure.
it's just someone like talking about the card that they got returned. Like, hey, I got this PSA 10, I'm stoked. Thanks, guys. Then I
Yeah.
can just email like, hey, cool, like cool card, cool grade. Like it was fun to look through. Like it just kind of feels like there's always something to do. But I mean, last month we went 20 something days without a single graded gem return. PSA didn't send anything back for almost 3 weeks,
Yeah.
which just for reference, like that's no good. Like
Yeah.
we should be getting basically like one back per day. So to go
Mhm.
like 20 something days without one back is insane. It's like that was kind of a weird time where, consignments would be done, like everything would be listed, everything would be scanned. And then we just kind of be like, huh, okay, now we have to focus on content, because
Now we got to
below
go buy some
everything
Bob
else,
Saget
the
cards.
lowest tier is content, which sucks because him and I both really want content to be more important and for us to focus more on content, but
Mhm.
you can't do that and like sleep well at night when you know that you have like consignments to do, or like people's graded gem returns to send back after a year and a half.
Yeah.
It's tough to be like, okay, let's spend 2 hours making a TikTok when 15 people want their graded gem return back. So you can't do that. But I think a week or two ago there was just like nothing to do, and so we spent some time and made a TikTok and a YouTube short, just like kind of test it out, and it was fun. And like that's when we'll like take an hour or two to do like the live stream, or to kind of just like sit and like spitball ideas. And
Well, you got to get Laura on. I feel like Laura could be she could be a TikTok all-star. But so real
true.
quick, we made it about an hour through. So do you want to keep going for like 5 more minutes, or are you fine to keep going for a little bit?
I'm good to keep going as long as we need.
Okay. So
I got all day.
there's a big question that I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of people in this chat want to know. So the thousands upon thousands of graded cards you see on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
A lot of things we talk about on this channel and other channels talk about it is the Pokemon, the bulk slab era. Now, what is the majority of the cards that you're actually seeing? Are you seeing what we all expect? So what I expect is a lot of WotC, commons, uncommons, hollows, and then modern. So for modern for me is pretty much hidden fates and after. So let's just start at hidden fates and work our way all the way down.
Yeah.
Now, and then, so what I think you probably don't see a lot of is your e-reader hollows, so Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge, very few of those. And then, so very few of those, then more of like the Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
and then not a lot of level X stuff. And then probably when you get black and white full arts come through, it's it's almost enough where you kind of stop what you're doing and saying, what year is this card? This is okay.
Yeah.
2012. Oh,
Yeah.
2012. This is a black and white. Or you get like a Victini from Noble Victories or something like that, and you're like, oh, this is a cool full art, or the
Yeah.
Meowth secret rare, and you're like, oh, I forgot about this card. Those are very rare. How close am I to what's actually the truth and what's false?
If this was like a game show, you would get it all right. Like you would
Okay.
like there have been times where a graded gem return is so specifically like an October 2020 return that it's all laid out, in like different stacks. And I'll just take a picture and I'll send it to my friends and I'll be like, you could not find me a more like perfect return. It'll be like PSA 8 Champions Path Charizard promo. It'll be right next to it like a PSA 7 base set 2 Clefable or whatever, like some hollow.
Yep.
Um like lots of like jungle, so many jungle first edition commons and uncommons.
How many Pikachus and Eevees have you seen? the
I
$1,000 Pikachu first edition.
I got finessed on that, by the way. During
Oh, did you?
during that peak mania, there was a guy that was local to me. He was an older guy that got some Pokemon packs for Christmas in 1999, and he was selling them on Craigslist. And I messaged him. I like told him how much they were worth, and I could pay like 80% of them. And then the price of the Pikachu and Eevee just skyrocketed, and so I bought 6 packs off of him and had 2 heavies, both of my hollows. I had a Pinsir and a Clefable. I think I got a 7 on the Clefable and an 8 on the Pinsir. I got
Oh, wow. So
destroyed.
you got beat up a little
I
hard
got
on those.
destroyed.
Yeah.
And then I sent in all of my Eevees and Pikachus express, which was like $50.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 110 on the Pikachu. And there was a crumb, like a piece of food that was left in the case. So I couldn't even get like a full PSA 10 price for it. And then everything else was 9.
That's
I got
rough.
destroyed up and down and left and right. Like I had it on my spreadsheet, my profit and loss, and I literally just next to it in the notes next to it, I just put LMAO because I was like, this is a wash. Like this is no good. I lost like 80% of my money.
Oh, wow. That's rough.
But yeah, I mean, it's just what you expect, right? But you do see stuff that just makes you stop, right? Like you said, like black and white era, like full arts, like someone had like the coolest return. It was like just Japanese full arts from like the black and white era, right? The texture,
like the Rayquaza and stuff. Yeah.
So good. And I was just like, because I mean, honestly, like when you're sorting through them, you're just taking like a few seconds per card just to make sure that like, the cases aren't cracked and that, the label makes sense. But there's like nothing that we can really do about like if there's like a mislabel, we'll just like tell them like, hey, your card has the wrong label, by the way.
Yeah.
And to like make sure that they're in the right order, and you count for every single cert number, like you're counting, 500, but instead of just going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like when there's like those Japanese black and white era full arts, I'm like 1, okay, 2, and I'm really trying like not to take way too much time because there's always so much to do. But like, no, like that stuff I'll like slow down. Like if it's anything that just isn't just like commons and uncommons and like unlimited hollows, PSA 7s, like, which I don't want to like disrespect anyone for any of their cards that they're submitting. Like I really do understand, man. Like I've had returns that looked exactly like that. Like a lot of my returns looked exactly like that because like there's money to be made,
Oh,
but
yeah. I mean, this is the thing about when people are like, yeah, the prices has dropped, but it's like, yeah, but there's still money to be made on a card. When I just told you earlier in the stream that I bought that lot because of the binder, you know?
And it's like technically you're into that lot for $20, but it's like, you're into it for 0 because you got the binder.
Yeah. And when did you buy that binder? It's like, well, I probably bought it in like 2015.
Yeah.
So the $20, sure, I guess like maybe we could break it down of how much money did that binder cost versus that card, but some of this stuff is free. It's like, how do you justify something that has no value, or you've bought for no value and you now can make $20 off it. It's like,
Yeah.
well, all that is profit.
Yeah.
That's that really tough conversation. It's almost impossible to have,
I mean, it is tough because I mean, even in that PSA return that had the PSA 10 grass energy, James was making fun of me because like I had like a PSA 8 fighting energy. And it's like, even today, like I was trying to justify it, and it's like I realized as I was justifying it, I would do the same exact thing today, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like
Like
if you're
like
opening
I
a base
said,
set pack, right? Because like if you have a heavy base set pack and you want to open it and it's fun and it's a gamble, you're gonna open it. You have your hollow or your, non-hollow, hopefully a hollow, and then you have 10 other cards. What are you gonna do with them? You know that they are pack fresh. You
mhm,
know that they are mint. Are you just gonna sell them on eBay for
yeah,
how much is someone gonna pay for like a Porygon?
yeah,
A couple bucks. Like you may as well spend the $10 to get it graded. You may as well, I don't know.
yeah.
And
So
even if it's an energy.
I just figured out your profit on your energy card.
Yeah.
You have you made 400 and a return of 419x.
Yeah.
It's like, how many ultra premium, what's the price an ultra premium collection needs to go up to where your return is 419x?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
but how do you explain that where it
Yeah.
doesn't just sound made up at that point? It's like
hmm
such a tough conversation. There's like no
Yeah. I mean,
easy
it's
answer.
it's it's crazy, but
So
I don't know, man. It's wild. It's a it's a wild ride. Like I mentioned becoming like desensitized to prices, and sometimes it happens less often than it used to. It used to be every other time I would mention a high price, I'd be like, wow, that's a lot of money. Then it would be every 5 times I talk about a high price. It'd be like, wow, that's a lot of money. Now it's like almost never, where the most recent time I think it happened was I was like, when you get a return back from graded gem, graded gem would do a thing that I don't know. It's their business model. I don't know. Where you didn't have to pay for anything up front.
mhm.
You didn't have to pay a penny.
Well,
You could
and their
have,
business model was you could send stuff without card saver ones at
yeah,
the
you could
boom of
send
card saver one time.
you could send cards and top loaders and sandwich bags and whatever you wanted. You
Mhm.
could send it, not pay a penny until it came back, right? Um, and so there are people that like, they submitted 100 cards, they owe $1,000, and like, please pay $1,000 to this link, to gradedgem.com.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, great. Next one. Please pay $1,200 to this link. Thank you. And then there was one where I was like, this guy owed like, I don't know, like $1,200 or $1,700. And I was like typing it out. And I was like, please pay your $1,700 to this link. And I was like looking, and I just like stopped typing. And I was just like looking at the number, like $1,700. And I was like, that is a lot of money that I'm just like expecting this guy to pay, which granted, he is expected to pay it. He paid for a service, or he got a service and now he's paying for it. But it was just like, and I sat there looking at this number. I'm like, how do I make this number not look so intimidating? Like, do I get rid of the comma? Like instead of 1,7, do I just do 1,700? Like I had this whole thought process of like,
Mhm.
if I got an email from someone saying, please pay me almost $2,000, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to. So I'm like, how do I make this look less scary? But I mean,
So we got a couple questions from the chat. First one, I'm not going to have you answer because that would be a question for Z and G. But first one is Pokemon DNA said, what's the most expensive card, Cam, that you've seen come through?
we um I think the thing that you skipped was the taxes. He pays a CPA a lot of money.
Well,
That's
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to have his worker like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I just so people know, it is
yeah.
very tippity top, and him and his wife are accountants. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. He is an accountant, so I'm sure he has. And the fact that he's going to his own accountant means he's paying
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. So a CPA gets paid good money to do his taxes. The most expensive thing I've seen come through, I think, is someone sent a BGS 9.5 Mysterious Pearl. Someone sent that and said, hey, can you guys send this to
Cross-grade it.
PSA and try and get it crossed to a 10 without cracking it? Just send it in the BGS case.
Mhm.
And like, I'm a huge proponent of cracking out cards, but it's like,
Same.
but you have to realize that like, you're dealing with someone else's card, you
And a
know,
mysterious pearl
and
too.
you're dealing
Like
with
you're
Mysterious Pearl,
that's
and it's a true gem, right? So it's
mhm.
four 9.5s. It's like if
Oh
there's a
well.
card that's going to cross, like this has a really good shot of crossing in the case. So we sent it, and it came back a PSA 10, and I was like, huh, this is just like a card that I'm holding now. Like this is a card that I get to look at and like touch
Yeah.
and like, you know, I was like, wow, that is. It just you become so desensitized to it that I was like, oh yeah, that's that Mysterious Pearl over there on the shelf that's
Yeah,
getting
no, no
sold.
big, no big deal.
Yeah, like, no
That's
problem.
a car.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
nice
Because
car. That's a nice car.
I honestly think that it might be it might be bad if you don't think that way. Like if you really start thinking about like how much money these things are worth and like because I just go back to the idea of like a bank teller. Like I don't think that you really want a bank teller who's like counting out money, who's like, okay, that's my rent, that's two of my rent, that's three of my rent. Like you just want someone who's just there doing their job, like doing the best they can. And but the Mysterious Pearl, like I said, I have in my camera roll on my iPhone, I have maybe 10 cards that I've taken pictures of where I'm just like, huh, this is crazy. Like this is a crazy card. Like the Mysterious Pearl, the Slow King, PSA 10 Chansey, the first two PSA 10 Charizards from Evolutions, PSA 1 first edition basic Charizard. Like I can like name off almost every single card I've taken a photo of
You,
because
you ever seen
it's
like a Rayquaza Gold Star or anything come sneaking through?
I think we had a PSA 2. I think we had a PSA 2 Rayquaza Gold Star, I think. But yeah, most of that stuff, like I don't see a lot of like base set Charizard Unlimited. Like you would think that there's like a lot of that from like closet collections. Like you just don't see like I think most people sent that express when it was like $50 or $100. Like I don't think a lot of people were submitting that bulk for $9, you know?
Yeah, true. Uh, Pokemon DNA said last Mysterious Pearl PSA 10 sold for like 11 grand. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you know that you have
that's
something
like a nice,
special
that's a
when they
nice
cross
used
this to a
car.
10. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun.
Uh, no, that's pretty wild. And yeah. So because you deal with cards so much on a daily basis, has this made your own personal buying and selling slow down a little bit? Or are you actually now kind of putting your foot to the gas pedal a little bit because you're like, you know what? I actually know what people are grading. I know where the market's going to be because that's a big thing that a lot of us do. It was that speculation game of what is going to hit the market, what is going to flood the market, what's actually going to because that's the thing. When you look at 2020 and you look at certain prices for certain cards, it's not a question of if these prices were sustainable or not. It's like, no, they're not sustainable.
Yeah.
Even on some of the really high end cards,
Yeah.
it wasn't sustainable. And it was all about like navigating price points. When did you get in? A lot of stuff. So are you still buying yourself or what?
I have come to almost a complete stop. And it
Wow.
doesn't really have anything to do with the cards that I'm seeing or any of that. I don't know if you guys talked. I watched the first like half an hour or so of you and James talking right before this, but James has gotten pretty heavy into buying sealed video games, and I've kind of piggybacked on that only because there there's one thing that he said, and I think about it every time that I look at a Pokemon card or a video game that I want to buy, and it's like with him, it's Smash Bros. For it's Melee for the
Mhm.
GameCube. He talks about how he has spent infinitely more time playing that video game than he has like looking at his cards when he was a kid, you know? And so like for me, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of Call of Duty when I was growing up, from like 2007 to like 2012.
Like the computer Call of Duty, or what were you playing
I
on?
was playing it on Xbox 360.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so, I don't want to get too into the weeds on video games, but really to me it just boils down to like, do I want to spend $200 on a Pokemon card that I like the art, it's a cool art, I like the rarity or I like the grade or whatever. Um, or maybe it's a vintage card and it's like, oh, like I remember that card when I was a kid, but like I really only remember it like in passing. Like Ancient
Mhm.
Mew, I didn't see them. I don't think I ever got the promo when I
Oh,
was a
I'm sure
kid.
you've seen a lot of Ancient Muse at this point.
I've seen a lot of Ancient Mews,
It's the one card everyone owns.
but I remember vividly seeing it in my friend's binder when I was a kid. So like that makes me like, oh, I love Ancient Mew because I remember seeing it in my friend's binder.
Mhm.
But like that's only that. And like, yeah, like the movie was great and I love the movie and the card is so unique and it's in the movie and all this stuff. But like when it comes to like these sealed video games that I have on the shelf, it's like I have so many more memories with every single one of these that me buying video games and not cards as much, it has nothing to do with graded gem. It has nothing to do with working in Pokemon. It just was the timing that I realized how much more I cared about those memories that I have.
Sure.
And like because my favorite Pokemon card of all time, first edition Neo Genesis Lugia, and I think I have a PSA 5 like literally on my shelf right next to me. Yeah. So like I have it, like I can see it,
Yeah.
but
Beautiful
like,
card too.
I remember having this card as a kid and I remember trading it to my cousin that I brought up a couple times already. I don't know why he traded me, but I remember being like, huh, I got scammed. Like he scammed me out of this card. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I love this card. I love the art. Like I could literally look at this art for 20 minutes and not look away. Like it's so gorgeous to me. But those memories that I have with this card and what this card means to me is a fraction of what, my sealed video game collection means.
It's interesting.
Like, because if I really want to talk about Lugia and how much Lugia means to me, I could just grab my seal or not my sealed, my complete in-box copy of Pokemon Silver.
Hmm.
Like I spent hundreds of hours playing this game.
Hmm.
I spent 4 hours looking at this when I was a kid, you know?
So
Like
yeah, I'm not into the sealed video game, but I still have my Pokemon Red, my Pokemon Blue, and my Pokemon Gold from growing up, and they're downstairs. And
you still have the
trust
save
me,
files.
no, I think that I
Ugh,
tried to plug in the Blue a while ago, and the files were all gone. So
that's heartbreaking.
yeah, I was actually like really sad because
Yeah.
like even the Pokemon still had like the nicknames you could give them from when I was a kid.
Dang.
So yeah, it definitely like part of my soul died. But
Yeah.
so
But
basic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just like long story short, I've come almost not to a complete stop. Like I have all of the secret, like all of, like the non-hollow secret rares from CP6 from the 20th anniversary. They're not
Mhm.
like secret rares. I think they're like all in commons, but there's like only like one per box. Like the bilingual executor, the Imikunis do duo, like those kind of cards. I think those are only like one per box.
Yeah, yeah.
I have all those PSA 10, but I was missing the executor. So like I bought that, like I'm gonna get it graded and like there's still stuff occasionally, but
But
for the most part,
not
I'm just
like
going
what.
heavily into video games.
So basic trainer, he said, Cam, when you guys send him his email for his 500 card sub fee, can you also include a personalized Polaroid? He's just asking for it. But
Absolutely,
so it
100%.
so basic trainer, it's pretty funny. Before we started this live, Cam was saying like he knows who you are. So I'm sure he
Hmm.
could do that for you.
No problem. Easy. It's a done deal.
So Alexis Junk said, when's the next TikTok going up for you and James?
When we have time. We made a like 50-second long video, and granted, it was like the first time we've ever tried like short form content, like either of us. That took a long time. We were like scripting it out. He had like post-it notes with like, okay, step 1, you do this. Step 2, step 13, you do this. Okay, we have to like, you know, make everything seamless. We have to do all this stuff. It took us like hours to get it done. So like you
Okay.
can't really
I'm a
confidently
boomer.
do that.
I'm a boomer. And for anybody else out there watching who didn't watch the TikTok, can you tell me what the TikTok actually was? Was it like what was it, like an assembly line thing?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. We were
And I swear I haven't watched it. I just took a guess.
yeah, so since you haven't seen it, since you're a self-proclaimed boomer, there's like a big thing on TikTok where like there's a video game, like a retro video game store that does it. Someone would be like, "Hey, can you make a video packing my order?" And like, okay, Jimmy wants me to pack his order. He got an N64 and he got GoldenEye and he got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and he got,
Great games too.
you know,
Oh, you just slam dunking with
you know,
those.
in Pokemon Stadium, and okay, like let's pack his order. And it's like it'll just be, a less than a minute long of them like walking around their warehouse, grabbing each thing off the shelf, showing them packaging it. It's kind of like a ASMR kind of thing, I think, is why people watch it, is they like the noises and stuff. I don't know exactly. But people will do it with like candy stores. People will be like, hey, candy store, whatever, package my order. Like, okay, they bought, 6 packs of Sweet Tarts ropes and, some juicy fruit or whatever. And
Yeah.
people just like watch these people. Yeah, DK oldies. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Mason. I love DK oldies. People get mad at them for being overpriced. I don't care. I like the content. It scratches my brain. But so we were like, these videos get millions of views. So what if we try something in that same vein? Not even for like the views or whatever, but just like we know that the content works. Can we emulate it? And like, do we have that capability to make short form content like that? And I think we do. But there's just not a lot of time to do it.
So speaking of views, shameless plug. We got over 70 people watching this live right now. What are you guys doing? Do me a favor. Can you please hit the like button?
Call to action. I love it. 1 second.
And then also for everybody else out there, if you do enjoy Cam, if you do enjoy his content, in the description below is a link to both his YouTube page and a link to his Instagram. I definitely recommend you guys giving him subscribe to both. And I'm sure if you want to ever reach out to him, probably Instagram, I would take a guess, is the best way to reach him. But I'm just looking real quick. So Pokemon DNA had a question that I think will be good for as soon as Cam gets back. So Cam, Pokemon DNA asked, you might have already touched on it, but we didn't really. Do you guys have a ballpark of how many cards does Graded Gem still have to return to clients from 2020? Because Graded Gem returns, I would guess you got to be in November 2020, right? By now, December.
Yeah. So
it can't be that many.
I'm trying to think of like a way to give a ballpark. I don't think I'll be able to give like numbers. When James was on, he talked about how when they first started taking submissions, it just climbed, it like doubled or tripled every month. Mm-hmm. And then I think January, it just like the number kind of cut in half every month until March when it basically stopped. Right now, most of the submissions that we're getting back are like November and December. We've had some January kind of like fall in as well, but we've also had like October submissions that are still in grading. We have October submissions that just haven't moved.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which is weird, and we've like reached out, and it's like, nope, they're all good, nothing wrong with those. And it's like, okay, like it makes me feel bad, which I have zero control over it. James has zero control over it. Like it's literally all on PSA's end. But it makes me feel bad when you open one box, it's January, you send them out, you're like, nice. Okay, what's the next box? October? Cool. Like these people sent their cards in 3 months earlier and just got their cards back at the same time. Like that just kind of feels bad, but
yeah. But
I wish I could give like a ballpark on the number. But I can't. I mean, just for the most part, like if you don't have your cards back and you submitted in December, like you're probably pretty close. Mm-hmm. If you submitted in November, you're extremely close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got my most recent return, not from through you guys, but my most recent return from PSA that I got back, and it was nice. It was right around that timeline. So, and it's pretty. When I get like well, I haven't submitted the CGC in a while now, but when I used to get my CGC returns back, I was like a depressed person. Like I would look at the box and I look at them and be like, okay, this is going to take so much work to, grade. And some of these I can't send to PWCC because they're not really going to get the premium that I'm going to need. I'm going to have to do buy it now listings on eBay. And some of these are going to sit for weeks or months or who the hell knows in order to actually get the prices. But dude, when I got my PWCC or excuse me, when I got my PSA return back, it was just like a sigh of relief. It's like, yes, pens are real.
I was
And
gonna
it's
okay,
like,
so a couple things. I want to know your actual opinion on CGC.
no, you
And
don't.
two,
You're
I
definitely new to this channel if you don't want to hear my
I only have
my
5 CGC cards, and they're all like square cut, like Champions Path commons. They have
okay.
like a square cut corner
Yep.
that I got graded because I thought that was weird because I pulled them myself. But now I'm like, these are worth nothing.
They're
Like
they're 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 worthless.
I couldn't sell these for like $5 a piece. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, they're cool to have, so I'm not super bummed about it.
Yeah, and it's pretty
Um,
funny that you have the graded gem returns, which listen, we could say the Pokemon hobby is dying and all this stuff, but like the fact that people can still sell like any PSA slab for the most part and get like $10-12 for, like, that is just ridiculous. And
I don't think
a
people
lot of that
understand.
shouldn't even be possible.
I don't think people quite understand what it means for like a card game to die,
Yeah.
or even for like a thriving card game. Like Magic is huge. I think that you are a fool if you don't think that Magic is huge, Yu-Gi-Oh is huge. You cannot, how do I phrase this? You can open a pack of whatever garbage set you want. Even if you go to like whatever you think is the worst set, whatever is the cheapest set, and you take a common card, you can sell that to someone for 3 cents. You cannot do that in Magic. Like you're looking at like a penny each or something or less. Like you can't do that with like 1989 sports cards. Like you're gonna sell
Your Don Russ
1,000 to
card
get a
from
dollar.
1989. Yeah.
Like yeah, exactly. Like which it might sound weird that I'm bringing up 3-cent cards, and like I don't want to speak on stuff that I don't know too much. Like I know that Mason's in the chat, but like it is insane that you can get 3 cents or 3.5 cents for literally the worst, cheapest cards in the hobby. Like that is a lot of money when it doesn't sound like it, but I don't think people like understand exactly.
Oh,
And again, like
yeah.
you said,
I
like it's a
trust you,
tough
dude. I
conversation to like
understand.
have
It's
really like
ridiculous. Well, prices for bulk have dropped. They're like, I want to say they made it back down to a penny, which it's actually been a pretty amazing ride, that the fact that they have taken so long to get down there. Maybe it's a 1.5 cents, I think bulk is down to. But it's dropped pretty significantly in the last month or two. And I want to say the person that brought that to my attention was Joe from Echo Base Collectibles. But Pokin Fun said, why no PSA box or reveal? So the only reveals I've ever done was when I would make a video about the submission. And yeah.
Yeah. No, but you said it so specifically. My very first CGC submission, like with PSA, it's like, oh, do I spoil the grades? Do I look at them early, or do I wait to do like the thumb thing and then flip it over? Like, do I do that? Do I like what do I do? Like I don't want to spoil it, but do I spoil it? Like it's so
Yeah.
exciting. CGC, I was like, I don't care. I literally don't care. Like
I
even
gotta be careful.
before,
I don't want to talk about CGC, and you will find out if you start to watch some of my older videos. Like as soon as I start talking about CGC on this channel, like it just goes off the rails.
but yeah, I've had like one, I think, bulk submission with them, and I was just like, all
What have I
right,
done?
like I don't know. I just kind of feel like I wasted my time, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, I don't know. Not the biggest fan. But hey, they're
Yeah.
giving tens. That's good.
So Derek Lavender is saying his LGS still does 3 cents a card for commons. So that's still pretty good. So maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong. Maybe it's just TCG player maybe doing 3 cents. I don't know.
Yeah, like I
Mason.
sell my bulk to one guy off of Reddit, and I think that he's still at 3 cents.
Oh well. Mason Berry said, "Let him know he's on his way." I think Mason said he's up to like I want to say a couple million cards he's sitting on between Pokemon
Crazy.
and Magic and everything. He's done a little bit of the behind the scenes for his store, and he
I've
just
seen
has
that.
like
Crazy. So
boxes
much
and
work
boxes.
goes into that.
Yeah.
Um,
He has that machine that does the automatic sort and like scans it and lists it and does all that stuff. But I want to say it only does like 1,000 cards a day or I forget. He would be able to give you the exact number. But even 1,000 cards a day is not a lot when you think about it. If you have 2
yeah.
million, it's
Yeah.
like 1,000's a lot for maybe me or you. But for somebody who has 2 million cards, it's like, how many years is it going to take to work your way through all this stuff?
Maybe a
So,
million of Pokemon.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
several million of Magic. He says that's a lot. Just the weight alone. Oh, sorry, I was way off. Mason said 1,000 every 90 minutes. That makes a huge difference. I'm sorry. My numbers were way off.
Sheesh.
Okay. That makes way more sense. So I could see how that machine could be definitely valuable to
I
him.
wonder if he's still in here, but talking about bulk, I saw that Rainy Day Collectibles was in here, Zakiel.
Look at
I
him.
did
Yeah.
I did something with him, but we were in like a clubhouse chat, which was like a very short-lived app where people would like get into like conversations with each other. And there was a channel about Pokemon, and he was in there, and we were in there together. And someone was like, "Yeah, I have like all these bulk cards, and like I don't want to sell them because like I don't like the like this is a hobby to me, and you know like the process of listing it and shipping it and doing the research and getting top loaders, putting it in a team bag, putting it here and doing this." And they're just like, like what's my workaround? How do I get around like how do I make this like enjoyable to like ship these out? And I'm just like, you don't have to, like
Yeah. That's what it
this is a
boils down
like
to.
if you want this to be like a hobby, like make it fun. Like if like that's exactly what I said. Like at that time, like anything Pokemon related was strictly a hobby. It took all my money, but it was still a hobby. But I realized like I don't have any fun listing or shipping single cards. Like that to me is just no fun.
Yeah. Shout out old school Pokemon out there. He's probably listening to this after the fact while he's packing orders going, yep, I agree with you guys.
God, that dude is a tank. I don't understand how he does it, but props to him,
You got to be wired differently to want to do that
I've told him
grind.
that so many times. Like
Yeah.
with that deal with Rusty for his like
Oh, the
gold
pins.
strip theme deck or whatever for all the pins. And I was like,
He
dude,
and two first edition blister packs
blisters,
too.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
blisters.
was like,
Like
I know
what
that for you, this is like perfect, but like that is so far away from what I would ever want to do.
yeah,
Like,
you're talking year. I mean, I'm sure if you broke it down like dollar amounts, he's probably going to do better off than if he
yeah,
were to sell those. But
yeah.
my God, you're talking years worth of selling, like just grinding pins and stuff. And so when Rusty comes on this channel on June 10th, I'm going to ask him about that trade.
You got to
And
say,
just,
hey, no, no lying. All right. No
yeah,
putting up a front. Do you feel like you just ripped him off like crazy? Like, do you feel like you just swindled
you're like,
everything out of this guy?
yeah. That's got to be like one of the better offers that ever came across to him because I'm sure he had zero plans to do anything with that. And if he did have plans, it was years down the line.
No, I
So,
mean, honestly, like that's what James and I talked about. It's like that obviously has value to him, like to Rusty. These pins have value, but like not in the short term. Like he
no.
wasn't planning on selling these on eBay anytime soon.
Yeah, especially with his consignment business and his
Yeah,
sealed product he's having coming in.
yeah.
He's a busy man. Dude,
But I mean, like that's also like the perfect situation, right? Where like Rusty is like, damn, I killed this, and then Nick is probably like, damn, I killed this. Like
yeah,
you literally can't ask for anything
well,
better.
that's like the best situation too, because then at the end of the day, you just have two happy parties. They both think they won.
Yeah,
And I would say that probably if you think about it, Nick is the true winner there, because it's probably so much more value.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a lot of work.
But basically, like, long story short, like, I just know that Zakil was in that chat because he was explaining like how he does bulk and stuff, and I think that he does like a lot of buy lists. But yeah, I just remember like feeling like that was like my first decent contribution to any conversation I've ever had regarding Pokemon, was just like, if this is a hobby, like, why are you trying to make things like less painful? Like, if something like isn't fun, just like don't do it.
Don't
like,
do
I
it,
don't know.
yeah.
Like, if you really want, like, take all of your stuff that's worth like $3 a piece and go do like what Zakil does, or what I think he does, and just like sell it to Troll and Toad for their buy list and get, 60% or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be like, okay, I'm pulling each of my nails off one by one and it hurts really bad. How do I make it not hurt so much? It's like, just don't
Yeah,
pull your
don't
nails off, bro.
do that.
Like,
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, it's funny you put it like that though. But yeah, so it's getting late on the East Coast. I got work in the morning. But Cam, I appreciate you coming on the channel. This was a lot of fun, and you're
Thank you for
welcome to
having me.
come back anytime you want.
I would
And
love to. It's an
we can
honor.
have conversation number 2. But again, one more time for anybody else out there, in the description of this video below is a link to both his YouTube channel and his Instagram. I definitely recommend you guys giving him a subscribe to both. But do you have any parting words you want to say to everybody out there? Hit that like button.
Smash that like button. We have
Smash that
74
like.
viewers and not that many likes. So what are you guys doing? But yeah, I mean, I don't want to like shill, I just want to say that, like, I think that at ZNG, I think that we are doing good things, and I want people that if they see that things could be better, to explain those things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get into it, but I just had a horrible experience with Golden Auction House.
A lot of people have lately. Talk about boomers.
Yeah, and it's like they just feel so incredibly out of touch that that's like the furthest thing that I want to be from. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to Ken Golden, but here's some disrespect. Like, I want nothing to do with that business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, if someone is like, hey, this thing that you guys are doing could be better, like, hey, this could be better, like, I want to hear that, because I think that we're on the right path. And we are collectors, and we have been here for a while. Like, I came back into it 2013. Like, I don't know. I think that we could do a really good job, and I don't know. I'm stoked, and I'm like proud of what we're doing. Yeah, I mean,
no, you should be proud, and you're starting to help build something pretty special over there. So I'm very happy that I get to see it, from the beginning, kind of. And James making your videos, and you making, coming on and doing all this, and maybe you'll come back on in a couple months or whatever, and it'll just be, look at the growth of you guys and what you're doing now, especially with the consignments and everything. So that will be fun.
Yeah, and I just hope that we can get back to a place where James's content doesn't suck. Because it's not incredibly fun or engaging to watch.
Oh, it's always fun and engaging. So
I just want, once we get, and like, there's a couple things happening behind the scenes with like how like auctions are being formatted and everything, that people should be getting paid out faster, which was already, I think, so fast, like within 2 or 3 days of the auction ending, but it should be even faster than that. And it should free up some time that we can get back to making decent content. And I think that's like crucial. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody in this chat is definitely a consumer of content. So we all love ZNG, and maybe you'll be making your own content. I know you have a YouTube channel, but maybe you'll start pumping out.
I like
more
stopped
videos.
completely on the move here. It just feels like I've just been so busy with with everything that I tried making a video, but then my space ran out of my phone. So that was a wash.
Again, Cam, I just want to say thank you again. For everybody else out there, before you leave, smash that like button, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.
Let's see 10,000 likes.
Later,
all right, thank you
guys.
so much for having me.